What is going on, everybody? It is Treeb from Treeb Talks here, and we are back with another Kill Tony video. And today I'm going to be doing something that hopefully we can maybe make into a weekly segment. We'll see how this goes. We'll see the fanfare and how much I enjoy doing it, and we'll see if we make this a thing. So, the latest episode of Kill Tony dropped yesterday, Kill Tony number 676, with Sam Morril and Chad Daniels, and I'll be honest with you, I had to recheck the guess for Chad Daniels' name, and honestly, I could already be saying it wrong because I had no idea who he was, and he did not make an impact on this episode whatsoever until the very end when William Montgomery had one of his best interviews in a really long time where he bantered with him back and forth, and it really looked like he got his feelings hurt, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. So, first of all, going over the panel of this episode, Sam Morril and Chad Daniels. Not the best two guests that the show has had, especially after just, a run of just really great guest hits after hits after hits. Kind of one of its weaker, panels in a while. Sam Morril was fine. He spoke up, I think, and kind of hit on some jokes when he needed to, and there was some good little zingers, good little one-liners there. But for the most part, Tony Hinchcliffe kind of carried this episode. And when Red Band talks a little bit too much, then you know that the guests aren't really doing their job and aren't commenting maybe as much as they should. And Red Band talked a lot during this episode. So in the thumbnail and in the title, it says that I'm going to be ranking these people's sets, the regulars, the golden tickets, and the bucket pulls. But I'm also going to be including if they had a good interview after the fact. I'm not going to be looking purely based off of their 1 minute set, because if I did that, then this list would be pretty much completely different. But I think that's not exclusively what the show is. The show isn't exclusively about the 1 minute sets. It's also about how good the interview is, how well they can banter with the hosts, and how entertaining they are all together. So without further ado, there were 14 total sets last night, and coming in at dead last, I think to nobody's surprise, is Jamie, the mom that came on and wasn't prepared and gave the old cliche line in Kill Tony history of bucket pulls that aren't expected to come on and are very underprepared of, I can't believe I got pulled out of the bucket. I didn't expect to get called. And you know what? She gets called. She comes on and she does this, terrible tech AI midlife crisis set. And, you can tell she's in a midlife crisis because she's, however old, 40 plus, and is doing stand-up for the first time, is on Kill Tony. And Tony Hinchcliffe tore her to shreds. Did seem like she had a pretty positive attitude at the end of it, but, not a good set. Wasn't happy by any means. And, Tony didn't like that. The last couple of times there's been a first-timer on there, Tony's kind of been easy on him. But this time around was not easy on Jamie, was not easy on the mother from Seattle. So she comes in at number 14. Coming in at number 13, I have Jack Horner. I believe that's how you say his last name. He was another guy with cerebral palsy, following up Martin Phillips, who we'll talk about way later in the video. He performed very well. But he comes on, doesn't have a good set, and claims that he was nervous, and he was nervous because he drank too much Red Bull, or he drank a Red Bull right before coming on, but he did his whole set about drugs and coke and things like that. And from the looks of him, kind of seemed like he was, maybe on some drugs, but not one to judge, not one to assume either. But he's a guy that has been on the show before, and according to Tony, has done better than that before. So, he's a guy that should come back and maybe try again, because that was not a good luck. Wasn't a good set. Wasn't a very good interview. So, unfortunately, he's going to come in at number 13. Coming in at number 12, and now that I'm looking at this list, I feel like maybe I should have had this person a little bit higher on the list just based on the interview portion, but I have Chris Howard, the kid that was a barista, and says, we have an unwritten rule here that if you're not gonna pay me, then I'm gonna fuck around, right? His set was really bad. Might have even been worse than Jamie from Seattle, but the interview portion was very funny. Tony finally gets to find somebody that he weighs less than, that he's smaller than, and he could kind of poke at that and make fun of him a little bit. And he messed up by saying he was 130 pounds, when in all reality, he was 114 pounds. They pulled out the scale. That was hilarious, and was a lot of fun, midway through the episode. And now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have had him just a little bit higher, because the entertainment value of it was pretty good. And I wish that I had switched that, because now I'm looking at these two people that I have above these next him and this next person we're going to be talking about. While the stand-up was better from those two people, I think the entertainment value from the next two people that we're going to be talking about was more than. So, this is a new segment on the channel. Gonna have to be some adjustments. So for me and today, Chris Howard is going to be at number 12, but was very entertaining with the scales and the roast and all of that. So that was funny. He was a good sport too. Didn't seem like he got too offended by anything that Tony would say. Coming in at number 11, I have Rose Hyland, and again, her set wasn't very good, but the whole parameter of why she was on there and what was to come later, and the person that is kind of related to her in this little scheme is higher than her, because they had the better set, they had the more professional outlook on things, but she kind of teed it up, and then the other guy knocked it out of the park. But set wasn't very good. She was from the UK, admits that she had to get married to be on a visa, and hadn't been talking to her husband in 3 years, and now has a boyfriend in the United States of America, who ended up doing a set later on and did very, very well. And her stand-up set was on the citizenship test, and it was not good. Was not very good at all. But she did end up going up there and playing the bass and singing. And while Tony didn't like it, I thought it was pretty damn good. I didn't understand the hate on that, cutting her off pretty quick. I thought it was pretty good. Let me know what you thought about Rose's bass playing and the singing in the comments down below. Coming in at number 10, we are in the top 10 of this list. I have Ebad. I'm not going to try to say his last name, because I know for a fact I spelled it wrong, and they said it wrong in the episode, I'm pretty sure. But pretty cut and dry stuff from him. He did a set on his immigrant parents and talked about how his mom used to make him food, and now she's bringing him brown woman to raw dog. I thought it was funny. His interview wasn't that great, but was great. Not great. It was fine, good stand-up comedy. And I think going forward now, I'm going to put more value into the entertainment aspect of things. But Ebad did have a good, solid set of stand-up comedy, and you can't take that away from him, because if he goes back on again, he's probably going to deliver another good set of stand-up comedy. And I think he should have some confidence going forward in his career that when you go up on Kill Tony and you deliver a solid minute, that is a big, big bump. Kill Tony bump is real, is what they say. Coming in at number 9, I have Sheba Ari, and he wasn't as boring as Ebad was. He had a decent interview in the show, but he had a really good joke on white women. How he said he gets to try new pills, but you think it's gonna be like an Oxycontin, maybe Percocet joke, but he just talks about anti-anxiety medicine, depression, things like that. I thought that was funny. As somebody else who's only dated white women, they have depression, they have anxiety. That's just funny. That goes with it. And he talks about how he had his ex's name tattooed on his hand, and said that he only dates women a generation younger than him because they can't read cursive. Thought that was funny. And how his ex died in his hands, and that's why he got it. But that's what happens when you choke a bitch out. Very good setups, very good comedy, good redirects or misdirects, whatever. Good stuff. I enjoyed everything that Sheba Ari came to the table with. Coming in at number 8, I have Matt Taylor, who basically his whole set was the fact that he is banging Fiona Coley. and or Fiona Cawley, the chick in the wheelchair. Tony collected another one of those to bring on to kill Tony. But no, she's very talented, and we'll talk about her a little bit later in this list, obviously. But Matt Taylor, solid set. Basically just kind of talked about banging chicks in wheelchairs. And for this episode, I think was fine enough compared to what he was competing with the people below him. Again, kind of rushed to make this list before my lunch break here. Maybe I would have bumped him down a couple of spots. Honestly, might have even had him in the bottom 3 now on a second glance because his set really wasn't that memorable. And now I'm really kind of thinking that I really liked Shiba Ari's set, and I probably would have had him above that. But Matt Taylor and the connection to Fiona is obviously something that sticks out and will stick out to everybody. He's a traveling comedian, so he's a professional. And, if you have people like me, know nothings on the internet, thinking these other people below you probably did better on their episode, then you might want to step your game up a little bit. Coming in at number 7 for me, I have Enrique Chacon. Love his energy when he comes on to kill Tony. It's been a while. He's a golden ticket winner, and he did his set on crossing the border and how much harder it is now than it used to be. Bringing up it's basically like you got to be an American Ninja Warrior to get into America now. Funny. Then he touched on the interview about how he came in to America after 9/11 and how he was crying with his classmates because he didn't really know what was going on. He was crying in Spanish again. Kind of a funny thing to envision. A Mexican kid just crossing the border after an American tragedy like that. You just get here, that happens, and you're crying. That's a funny thing to envision. And, he came in, he delivered. I thought he did a good job, and he comes in at number 7 for me. Coming in at number 6, I have Cam Patterson. Cam Patterson had a good set. Kind of stuck to what he does, and that is talking about where he was the previous weekend. And, making a joke about that, and said, all the most pretty women are in Phoenix, Arizona, and if he was Jesus or God, he would also put the pretty women in the most hot places, because he'd be like, take your clothes off. Very on brand for Cam Patterson, very funny, I thought, but the interview portion of his set was the best part, talking about how he bought his dad a car, and everybody's like, hell yeah, dude, that's awesome, you bought your dad a car, let's go. And he said he bought him a 2008, and that was what everybody was making fun of. You just bought him a 2008, but he said a Nissan Camry. Nobody corrected him. Obviously, it's a Toyota Camry. I have a Toyota Camry. But just saying that and nobody correcting him was super, super funny. And he went after the other Cameron, and again, I definitely spelled his name wrong. But the Cameron that was banging the Rose Highland, the chick from the UK that ended up coming on right after her, he used to live with him, and he said, I used to hear them fucking, and that was really funny. The interview and that part of his set I thought were funnier than his actual, Phoenix jokes. So, the little things Cam does, he's very good at, and his sets are always by the book, very on brand. For Cam Patterson. And let's just get into number 5, which is the other Cam, who is the boyfriend of the Rose Highland, who is on a boyfriend visa, or a husband visa rather. And she's there, and they've been separated for 3 years, and for some reason he knows her, or he knows him, but he doesn't know him either. And now that it's been 2 or 3 weeks since the episode has been recorded, now it's out there. I'm kind of wondering what the situation is and how that thing is going to play out. But very, very funny set. Handled it like a pro, like Tony said. Didn't come out there all nervous or anything. He laughed, handled it, controlled the room, did a very good job. And his joke about the ski slope stuff was hilarious, saying, what's the scariest color you can think of? Black. What about the second scariest color? Oh, fucking double black. That was funny. Hilarious stuff. Definitely a top 5 set of the night. And coming in at number 4, I have Fiona Cawley. and she's gonna kill it until she dies, right? You know, she's gonna keep killing audiences, and she had a good set, and her whole Snapchat story about her Snapchat getting hacked and her nudes leaking was very, very funny. You know, getting to learn more about her is awesome, and you know, she's doing the damn thing. You know, even though she's kind of looking death in the eyes, you know, she's deciding to just do stand-up comedy, do what she loves, and you gotta respect that, you gotta love it, and, you know, I laugh at what she does. You know, there's a lot of people that Tony brings onto the show that you don't really laugh at, or you don't think are that funny, aka Drew Nickens is a good example. He wasn't on this episode, thank God. But Fiona Coley is one of those people that he brought on and is actually really, really funny. So I'm excited to see where she goes from here, and I really liked her set in this episode. Coming in at number 3, I have Martin Phillips. Martin Phillips, man, he was mad. He was mad this episode, and you know, you never get to see him kind of outside of his jolly attitude. And again, Chad Daniels, again, I forgot his name. Chad Daniels kind of poked at him about him being able to drive, and then I think he just asked him for a ride or something. And then he said, "Do you want to go on a ride, buddy?" Like, just so funny watching Martin Phillips get like actually irritated and actually mad. And I mean, he's been on like a lot of episodes recently. And if I'm Tony, I'm seeing the reaction he's getting online and seeing that people like him. And I'm replacing Drew Nickens' ass with Martin Phillips because he is great. He's funny. He's, you know, he's good for his interviews. He's good on the sets, with his sets. Like, he's a fan favorite. I think I would love to see him on every Kill Tony. I would love to see him as a regular. And, yeah, bring him on more often, especially if he's going to have this new attitude. Very, very funny stuff. Coming in at number 2, I have William Montgomery. And while his set this go-around wasn't that good, it was one of his best interviews in a long time. He hasn't grilled a host in like forever, and he hasn't gone like completely unhinged in a long time. And he got like super unhinged at Chad Daniels, and he's like, "So what are you, like a comedian or something?" Like, just was off the wall, was hilarious. It was old school William Montgomery. It was William Montgomery at his best. He looked like he was having fun up there. The last couple of times he was there, kind of looked like he was just trying to get through his set. But on this episode, really looked like he was having fun, looked like he was getting after it. He was back to his old ways, and was one of his best interview moments in a long, long time. Loved to see that from William Montgomery. Loved that. Loved it from him. And it was a great, great interview. And I'm looking forward to more of that stuff from William Montgomery in the future. Coming in at number 1, and I think to nobody's surprise, I have Benjamin Greeley, or Grayley, however you say it, whatever his last name is. You know who it is, a 70-year-old man who was on not even that long ago, I think 2 weeks ago in the Joe Rogan episode, where he sat and talked about how he was friends with the Night Stalker. He smoked weed with the Night Stalker, and then there's somebody else he had done drugs with. That's not coming to my head, but you know, another funny person they did drugs with. And this time around, he tells like a 30-minute story about how he did an armed robbery, and they put the spotlight on him. And it is just, you know, I can't do that story justice. You're going to have to watch the episode and watch him tell it, because he is a gifted storyteller. He is hilarious. And, you know, like, he's not made for the 1-minute Kill Tony, you know, section of the show. But if they did something on the show where he just sat and like told like a 10, 15, 20-minute story, if he has it in him, that's a segment that I would love on Kill Tony, just to hear Benjamin talk more often. He is a gift. He is hilarious, and it was just a great, great story. I was intrigued from beginning to end. I was laughing my ass off, and I was having one hell of a time. Alright guys, that is my list for the best sets of Kill Tony number 676. What did you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Let me know who you guys like, who did well, who bombed. I want to know. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Click the like button if you feel so enticed to. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.